we're back. I'm back from Greg's. The stream is back from the dead. Although I appear to have a car going awfully slowly here. That must be a technical failure for Gilles. Sorry, it's Massino. I keep forgetting this guy had his name spelt wrong at birth. Fastest lap by Andrzej Kremnicki. Guy's on a charge, unsurprisingly. Here we are on board with Martin van der Weijden. He's overtaken Wouter Lambrigts for the first position, and Lambrigts is already under severe pressure from Marcel agyemang-badu behind. We are still having some technical issues with our broadcast pictures. Not looking too good at the moment. Now, if you'll excuse me, this director is starving and he's going to eat his Greggs. So, excuse the rustling. That's some good shit. Uh-oh. That doesn't look good. Tell you what, seeing as we're waiting, let's play some music. This one's going to be funny. I couldn't help myself. Better than nothing. I think we're ready to go now. I think. Yeah, race direction seems to think we're going to try again, so we're going to go back live. I'm going to stop eating my sausage roll because that's considered unprofessional, unfortunately. As much as I wish it weren't. Here we are with Martin van der Weijden in first position. I keep earnestly referring to this Kingfisher because that's what they were until a couple of weeks ago. Gilles Massinon's retirement confirmed as a World League. We knew it was something technical, but just didn't know exactly what. Here comes Marcel agyemang-badu lining up Wouter Lambrigts towards the hairpin. He's side by side. Surely he's going to make this one stick. Lambrigts won't give up. They're still... No! Lambrigts keeps the position! That was awfully surprising. I figured he was sure to lose it to Badu there. We are on board one of the HRT, sorry, Zim Sports, you can call them HRT because they're run by the same organisation. Bastien van Nieuwenhuizen still 8th, not making any progress at all, surprising given how good his form was at the end of last year. He's still stuck behind Daniel Melville in that Zim Sport. sorry, HRT Alliance. I keep using the same long name for the organisation. Right behind him in 8th is Andrzej Kremnicki. Keep an eye on him. He is blindingly fast in the races as long as he doesn't crash into something. Here we are back with the battle for second. Lambright's fending off Badu for as long as he can. I don't think it will be for much longer though. Badu pretty good in the races, and Lambright's is known as something of a one-lap wonder. Unfortunately, the saying Lambright's train doesn't quite have the same ring to it as Chile train. Anyway, here we go up towards the hairpin now. He looked a bit sloppy through that corner there. And indeed, Badu is already lining up a move. I think he's surely going to get it this time. Meanwhile, in the background, we've got a move on Green. Sorry. Is that Greenlaw? No, it's Kremnicki. Kremnicki's already up to 4th? I didn't even see him do that. I thought that was Kremnicki when it was actually Greenlaw earlier on, and now Kremnicki's up to 4th. Ahead of Davis. Davis thought he might have some trouble beating the Italians. He definitely will now because Kremnicki's already up to 4th. The Slovak climber is really on a charge today. Meanwhile, we're on board with Jean-Vincent Albertini behind Dean Melville. Mrs. Lambright's down to the... Oh, we have a car on fire. I think that's Gianluigi Pazzini's MRT. I think... That's a pretty big engine fire. Why he's still going, I don't really know. That car is not going to go much farther, no matter how hard he pushes it. Meanwhile, back to the battle for third. Lambright's really struggling to fend up Kremnicki at the moment. Kremnicki doesn't really want to make a move in the chicane section, sorry, not chicane section, the 90-degree section. He's biding his time. No, sorry, that was the other MRT, Jason Hamilton. An oil leak brings his day to a close. He was doing okay to start with in the midfield, but that ancient failure has lost him any chance of points today. Meanwhile, back at the front, Van der Meijden is starting to escape from Badu behind, but he's got to watch out for Kremnicki later in the race. Andrzej Kremnicki really flying at the moment, and he's just got past Lambright's at the hairpin. We didn't see it on the cameras, but he's clearly got past now. Up to 3rd position. He's going to chase down Badu really quickly. I think Greenlaw may have made up a position behind him as well. The American really highly rated going into the season, but he doesn't seem to be able to... Oh no! I don't believe that Greenlaw has spun at the final corner. I don't know if he's out or he's just waiting to get back onto the track, but that is a catastrophic. He's just run wide on the entry to the final corner. Right on the curbs, lost control, spins out. Simple as that. That is an absolute disaster for Greenlaw. He drops all the way to the back. Oh, and he spun again trying to get back. This is really not very good by Dan Greenlaw. The reigning Formula 3 champion, all over the place. Really not very good. He's going to have a lot of work. He's going to have his work cut out to try and get any points today after that incident. His teammate though, Kremnicki, having a good race, up to P3 already, chasing down Badu. Wonder how many laps it'll take him to catch these leading duo. In fact, it looks like Badu is starting to catch Van der Meijden. The gap currently 1.2 seconds, but I think that's gone down by a few tenths this lap. Let's have a look at the split. We can't because the director has just gone elsewhere. We're on board with Greenlaw now, way down in last place in 20th. Wow, 7.5 seconds behind Carlisle in 19th. He is really good. He's really not in a good place at the moment. Weaving on the straight as well, which is a little bit strange. Maybe he's not got enough heat in his tyres. Anyway, back with the lead Alitalia. He is starting to catch Badu at a rate of knots. In fact, he just puts in the fastest lap. Jordan Davis has actually come into pit lane already. Awfully early stop from the Aston Martin driver. Have to see how that strategy plays out later in the race. we are on board now with Marcel Agyemang-badu. Kremnicki's already caught him. Kremnicki, I have no words to describe his pace at the moment. It's just blindingly fast. He goes from him down the inside. Can he make it stick? No. He thinks better of it in the end. Badu retains second for now, but it doesn't look like it'll last that much longer. Meanwhile, we have a move at the hairpin again. I think... Who is Massimo's teammate? That's Ruckert making a move. Can't really tell if it's stuck or not. I'm really not having a good day in the office today, aren't I? Anyway, back on the battle for second position. Do you know what? I think I'm going to get some ice cream and coke because I don't feel so well at the moment. I'll be back in just a moment. Unfortunately, I've got no handbrake to go to, so this is quite embarrassing. Nevertheless, I think I can kind of see what's going on because I'm not having a very good day and even I can't tell what's going on, quite frankly. Apologies everyone, I feel a bit ill at the moment so I could barely breathe. Whoa, is that the other Jones crawling to a stop? No, that's just Ruckert going kind of slow. My mistake. Very slow in fact. He's going to have to watch out behind because he doesn't seem to be lapping particularly quickly at the moment. He's lost 4/10 to just in case ahead of him. Carter Simpson, who he just got past, might actually find a way to retake the position at this rate. Further down the field, we have the other Aston Martin of Alessandro Marchese, who seems to have made up quite a few positions, considering how far back he started. By my deductions, he's in 14th, having started dead last, so 8 positions so far in 9 laps is a reasonably good rate of return. Meanwhile, we're back to this battle for second. Can Kremnicki finally make a move, stick at the hairpin? He's all the way down the inside this time. Surely the position is his. Doesn't seem to be challenged by Badu this time, and second position is now Andrei Kremnicki's. One target left, Martin van der Meijden. Given Kremnicki's pace, I really don't think he's going to last too long. 1-2 laps maybe. This race is Kremnicki's for the taking. He just has to not throw it off the road like he did half of last season. Oh no! Oh man, Lambriggs throws it off the road, lucky not to do the same as Greenlaw. Greenlaw spun doing exactly the same thing as Lambriggs did there, but somehow the Belgian driver keeps it on the island, keeps it pointing in the right direction and continues on his way in 5th place. He's already lost 4 positions so far today. I wonder how many more he'll lose. Jean-Vincent Albertini is the next car behind. Doesn't seem to be catching the Belgian driver particularly fast, but we do have 43 laps left. That gives him plenty of time. Back with the leader now. Kremnicki's already closed the gap in half a lap. He might even just take it at the next corner. A little bit far back perhaps, but he might try anything anyway. That is Kremnicki's style. He's already pulled out. Van der Meijden is blocking quite aggressively. Kremnicki's not having any of it though. Van der Meijden still moves inside. Can he keep the position? We're on Badu for some. He can't do it. Van der Meijden's lost the place. Kremnicki leads the Australian Grand Prix after only 10 laps. A sensational drive through the field by the Slovak driver. Some people might think it's race over, but you never know with Kremniski. He has a habit of putting it in the fence. We'll have to keep our eye on him just to make sure he doesn't mix up as he usually does. Meanwhile, battle for second, that's lost. Van der Meijden a little bit of ground to Badu. It could be a risk towards the end of the lap. Already has a 7/10 gap after the first sector. He's in a league of his own at the moment. There's no other way to describe it. League of his own. If he wins this, it's probably going to be by something like a minute. So I think we can just forget about him for the rest of the race. He's first place. That's done and dusted. Meanwhile, Badu doesn't seem to have really capitalised on Van der Meijden's tussle with Kremniski. He's let the gap fall back again to almost a second. Excuse the rustling, but I'm starving. I have a feeling this battle is going to last quite a long time. There's a continual to and froing between Van der Meijden and Badu at the moment, closing between 1 second and half a second, without anybody really committing to the move. Which is actually allowing Dan Melville to close up to both of them at the moment, as Kremniski sets yet another fastest lap. I feel a little bit heartbroken. Nobody likes my stream. Anyway, back with Van der Meijden. Badu's finally lining up a move. Can he make it stick this time? As we cut to Jordan Davis on his own. Why did you do that, Mr. Director? We want to see whether Badu took second position. That could have been a crucial pass. And we have no idea if he made it stick or not. I really wish I could shoot this director in the head sometimes. Behaves like he doesn't know what he's doing. He did make it stick. Took the director a little while to pick that back up, but it does appear Marcel agyemang-badu has taken second position. He has cleared that hurdle of Van der Meijden, but I do doubt that he's going to be able to keep pace with Andrzej Kremniski, who just keeps setting fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap. Nothing's stopping him at the moment, he's just got to keep it out of the walls. But yeah, himself is the only person who's going to stop him from winning this race. Not much else happening at the moment. Now we've got that battle for second cleared up, although Melville does seem to be catching Van der Meijden a little bit. Could be something to watch out for in a couple of laps' time. Yeah, Melville is just too far back to attempt anything there. Any move would have been pretty much suicidal at that point. But give it a lap or two and I'm sure I'll be making a move at the Crupsel hairpin. Meanwhile, we're on board with Marcel agyemang-badu, and Kremniski is merely a dot in the distance now. If that. We have a battle for 15th place between Chadley. Oh! Pazzini heads Pascal. That didn't look good. I think Pascal's in trouble now. Is that a puncture? Either way, it's not looking good for Gregor Pascal at the moment. Pazzini might be under investigation. That was a pretty harsh overtake, slamming into the back of Pascal, running him wide to take the position. Not really sure that was above board. The stewards might be having a look at that by the end of the race. Back with Badu at the moment. He's pretty much on his own. He can't keep up with Kremniski, and he's pulling away from Van der Meijden. One with Albertini, meanwhile, who locks up just in front, just in case. No, sorry, just in case races for Simpson. Who am I thinking of? Who is in the other car? Mitchell Macklin, of course. The forgotten man of F2RWRS. He's having a solid if spectacular race. Former champion, in fact, so you would expect him to do something special, but not much heard from the Australian so far. He's also trying to do a Pazzini. He touches the back of Albertini's car, but can't nerf him wide. Albertini stays where he is. Back with Van der Meijden, and Melville must have come into the pits because he's disappeared now. In fact, yes, we have the confirmation. Melville is in pit lane for his first stop of the afternoon. Another, I wouldn't say an early stop, that's probably getting to the pit window now if you're doing a two-stopper. I do wonder about Jordan Davis' strategy though. He came in on lap 9.
At the end of this lap.
We have the radio call for Martin van der Meijden. He's coming at the end of this lap. I'll be curious to see how far Kremnicki goes into the race given his lightning pace. He must not have much fuel left on board. Fight at the back, Carlisle with Marchese, I think. And Greenlaw has caught up to the back of the field at last. 7.5 second gap eroded reasonably quickly, actually. He's gonna have a mountain to climb to get past anybody though. First up on his list is Alessandro Marchese. Then, let's go back to the action with Mitchell Macklin. He tries the same move again, but Jean-Vincent Albertini is not having any of it. Jean-Vincent also in F2RWRS this season for Autodynamics, so he'll be racing tomorrow. By this performance today, he seems to be justifying his seat so far, actually. He finished 4th in championship last season. Oh no! No, I was saying that, but actually he's just flown off the circuit, although I think there may have been some sort of contact with Mitchell Macklin. I'll be interested to see the replay of that incident. That was some really messy stuff there by Mitchell Macklin. My suspicion is that he tagged the back of Jean-Vincent Albertini. Macklin was just trying too hard. Really, you saw at the hairpin he was already starting to rough up Albertini, and he's just pushed too hard. I think, well, in my opinion, he should get a penalty for that. That was really some careless driving by Macklin. He drops all the way to the back now. Van Nieuwenhuizen's gone up to P3. I didn't actually see that happen, but that's a reasonably good effort by Van Nieuwenhuizen. He's kept his nose clean, and cars ahead of him have fallen by the wayside, so now he is up to 3rd position. That's an Alitalia drive for lockout, so they said it would happen, it has now. I'm guessing that must be Jack Christopherson Jr. in 4th. Again, a nice clean run from him. His qualifying was average at best, but he's worked his way up the field without really being noticed, and he's got 4th position now. Great first performance in a year for him, as Kremnicki does yet another fastest lap. That incident behind has now meant that Badu is completely on his own. In fact, what am I thinking? The reason Nieuwenhuizen is up to P3 because Van der Meijden has come into pit lane as he said he would. Meanwhile, further down the field we have Gregor Pascal, who seems to be running okay after that altercation with Bassini. Behind him, I think that's Jordan Davis, who's already made 1 stop. Davis not been particularly quick since his pit stop. I was expecting him to make up a few positions, but nothing so far. Maybe he's on a long second stint. I'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Lap 17 and Kremnicki is still out, and still lapping faster than everybody else. This is surprising. I figured with such pace he would be on low fuel, but he continues. We are on board with Carter Simpson. He's got Alessandro Marchese not too far behind him, and Daniel Melville, who has just recently... Melville has jumped past Van der Meijden. We didn't see it on the cameras, but we can see it in a position lap chart now. Dean Melville has somehow leapfrogged Martin van der Meijden through the pit stops. When it all cycles through, that would put Melville in third position, I believe. Unless, of course, Van Nieuwenhuizen can put in a star turn before his pit stop. That's very disappointing for Van der Made. He took the lead early on from Lothar Lambrechts, but he's gone backwards ever since. He still should be good for points, I imagine, but the podium is very quickly slipping from under his grasp. Greenlaw has made his way up to 15 so far, but I don't think he's made his pit stop yet. In fact, no, he hasn't, so that's not going to be good for him. Most of the guys at the front still haven't, in fact all of the guys at the front still haven't stopped. We're waiting for Kremnechki, Badu and Nieuwenhuizen all to make the first stops in the afternoon. We're interested to see where they come out in relation to Melville and Van der Made, who made their stops early. Speaking of strategy, that early stop from George Davis seems to have backfired spectacularly. He's quite far behind Van der Made and Melville at the moment. Meanwhile, we're back with Badu, who still doesn't seem to be able to keep up with Kremnechki. He's losing. He seems to be on the pace a bit more now than earlier, but it's still a tenth or two per lap he's losing. Not much action going on at the moment after that altercation involving Macklin and Albertini. Nieuwenhuizen holding off Christopherson Jr. reasonably comfortably at the moment, with Jean-Louis Albertini still going along after that earlier incident with Macklin. Quite lucky to survive that, actually. Quite rightly so, we could say. It seems the director has something of a fascination with agyemang-badu. He seems to keep going back to his own board quite a lot. Once again, he's lost a tenth in that sector to Kremnechki. I remember being on board with him 5 laps ago. Kremnechki was merely a dot. Now we can't see him at all. Sort of an ominous sign. Van Nieuwenhuizen locks up his brakes, but it doesn't seem to have lost too much ground to Christopherson Jr. there. Meanwhile, we're back with Daniel Melville, one of the front runners to have made his first pit stop. He doesn't have any traffic, which is a good sign for him. He needs to put in some quick laps now to stay ahead of Van Nieuwenhuizen and Christopherson Jr. And in fact, he might even be able to leapfrog agyemang-badu if he can lap fastly, quickly enough. Meanwhile, Alexander Marchese comes in for his first stop of the afternoon. He qualified way down the order, made up a few positions. I'll have to wait and see where he comes out, I'm really not sure. I'll have to guess somewhere around P15. Rory behind his teammate, of course, who was top 5 early on, but hasn't made any progress since. There is the distance between Kremnechki and Badu. That's a pretty big gap for lap 20. I do wish I had more to say, but unfortunately the race has died down somewhat since that incident with Macklin. Just waiting for the pit stops to unfold, see where the strategy takes everybody. This is something I haven't really been able to understand this weekend. There's been a surprising amount of weaving on the front straight, even once the tyres are up to temperature. I would like to ask one of the drivers what that is all about at the end of this race. Again, the gap between Van Nieuwenhuizen and Christopherson Jr. seems reasonably consistent, and once again, the director cuts to agyemang-badu. Here we are with Yuka Katayama. He is right behind Lothar Lambrechts, who has clearly made his first stop. I don't believe has Katayama made a pit stop? I think he has now, actually. Katayama might be in contention for a point or two at the end of this race, but at the moment, mired in midfield. Lambrechts has really not been on the pace this weekend in terms of race pace. He had that storming drive to pole position, but just like last season, he's really not on the pace when it comes to the races. It'll be interesting to see quite how far down the order he finishes come the finish. Meanwhile, we're back with Kremniczki. Yes, he finally makes his first stop of the afternoon on lap 21. Not sure he'll manage a one-stopper from that distance. Might go for two, not sure. Could go either way. In fact, he may have planned his strategy to give him the option of going for one or two, depending on what happens. Given his pace so far, I think he could probably get away with two, just about. Not entirely sure though. A ton of pace for Badu could ruin that strategy. I've just been told I got Yuki Katariyama's gender wrong. Frankly, I don't care. If she was a bit more fast, I might have more interest in her. Well, what happened to Badu there? He's fallen right back towards Van Nieuwenhuizen. Either I'm extremely ignorant or the cameras didn't catch it. I don't believe we saw what happened to Marcel agyemang-badu there, but he's fallen quite a few seconds behind Kremniczki and into the hands of Bastian Van Nieuwenhuizen. Van Nieuwenhuizen's got past Badu. We didn't see where, we didn't see how, but he's taking the position. No, whoops, my bad, that's Kristofferson Jr. again. I really wish the cars had some more distinguishing features between each other. I was sure that Van Nieuwenhuizen's lap counter was showing P2. My mistake. Back with Jordan Davis now. Oh, he heads the back of Gregor Pascal. You've got to feel for Gregor Pascal, everybody's bullying him today. That's another position lost because he got nerfed wide of the Clipsal hairpin. Jordan Davis takes possession, but not really a clean move of any kind. That's really disappointing, I think. Quite a few drivers are not keeping clean, they're using some pretty harsh tactics to get past, and it's quite a surprise there aren't more broken front wings, really. Here we are on board with Nieuwenhuizen, who does seem to be catching agyemang-badu at the moment, but seems reasonably comfortable from Kristofferson Jr. behind, despite how small the gap is. The gap up to 7 seconds there between Kremniczki and Badu. There's not much else to say really. Kremniczki's being completely dominant so far. Sorry, I keep repeating myself, but there's really not much else to say. This is an onboard with Walter Lamberts completely on his own now. Miles behind Kariyama. Already 2 seconds after 2 or 3 laps. He's just been overtaken. That is Carter Simpson, I think. He's just lost yet another position, down to 15th now. Meanwhile, his teammate Bastian Van Nieuwenhuizen up in 3rd, despite qualifying 6 positions behind. Oh, sorry, I just realised Carter Simpson drives for Team Sport. That's Luke Bellerin. I still haven't learned the driver changes from last season. It's quite embarrassing. Anyway, on board with Luke Bellerin, who's just taken 13th place from Walter Lamberts. Luke Bellerin, surprise hire by Simpson. No prior experience in the Reject World Race Series, but won the non-championship race pre-season. Doesn't seem to be doing particularly badly compared to his teammate Justin Case so far. Simpson hasn't really proven to be a top team in the last few seasons, so we're not expecting race wins straight off the bat from the Canadian driver. Back with one of the Aero Racing cars, agyemang-badu, I think. I hesitate to name anybody outright at this point, though, considering how many I've got wrong. Every single lap seems to be a new fastest lap by Kremnicki. It's kind of ridiculous. Meanwhile, Gianluigi Pazzini lines up a move on the horribly slow, there's no other word for it, horribly slow Moto Lambrix. He concedes that position with ease. This is really not very good by the Belgian driver at all. He's leaking positions more than a badly fitted water pipe. You've got to wonder if he's going to avoid finishing last at this rate, but points definitely seem to be off the table for him this weekend. We'll have to wait, and I think his only good race this season will probably at Monaco where nobody can get past him. Which actually I believe he won last year for that exact reason. Like with his teammate Dolman, Bastian Van Nieuwenhuizen, doing a solid job. P3 might lose it when he comes into pits for his pit stop because Dean Melville has shown a reasonable ton of pace after his first stop. The gap was 4.958 seconds. I expect the tyre out, yeah, 5.2. There was this brief moment where Badu made a mistake and dropped right back into the clutches of Van Nieuwenhuizen, and the Dutch driver just hasn't taken advantage of it. Badu seems to be significantly faster than everybody else on track except for Kremnicki, who in turn is significantly faster than everybody in Australia. He shaved another tenth of his fastest lap. Like, how does he keep going down consistently? I understand if he's faster than everybody else, but he sets a new fastest lap literally every single lap. That I'm starting to run out of words to describe this guy. He's just too fast. I might say the battle for first, but frankly, battle is a gross overstatement. It's a complete one-way street now. Luke Pellerin, who I was talking about a few moments ago, comes in for his first lap of the afternoon just after passing Lotte Lambrix. Not that passing Lambrix posed much of a challenge or lost him any time. We have a move here. Johannes Rukert passes Jack Christopherson Jr., who has made his pit stop, and Jack Christopherson Jr. gets mugged again at the same corner. Not even sure what car that was. Might have been just in case. Looked like a quite bright blue car, so probably Simpson and Pellerin just made a stop. That must be just in case. Our feed has just died. That's not a good sign. Oh, it's back. Apologies for that. I don't have any control over the race director feed. Only a brief blip there. We're back in business. Christopherson Jr. after his pit stop all the way down to 17th. That is painful. That is painful. He is way, way, way behind Melville and Davis. Staying out doesn't seem to have worked for him. He'll probably be on a one-stopper given he's at the halfway mark now. What? I think I'm going to retire after this race because I can't get any single car right. Except for this one, which is easy enough because it's Andrei Kremnicki, because he's going miles faster than everybody else, as I keep saying. God, I'm repeating myself consistently, but what can you do when the guy keeps setting fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap? Here is Dean Melville. He's already jumped back up to third place. Oh, Greenlaw's off again. I don't believe this. He's done the same thing as about 15 laps earlier when he went off and spun. He's really got to calm himself down. These incidents are not going to get him anywhere. He's overtaken Marchese for 13th. Sorry. That looks like Thomas Mans. Is he ahead of Davis but behind Marchese? That doesn't particularly make sense. If that is the case, then clearly Davis's strategy has really, really backfired. While Melville is up to P3, Davis is mired down in 15th place. Really, really bad race for John Davis. We expected him to be in contention for the podium, but he's miles off the points being places at the moment. You do wonder if this could finally be his year for the championship. We know he's got pace, but he's just failed to finish too many times. It's his third year in the sport, well 2.5 if you count the fact that he was out with injury for most of his debut year, as Johannes Ruckert does a green law, runs wide at the final corner, almost spins but just keeps it together. Loses a few seconds to whoever that is behind him. I still can't tell what car that is. Is that a Simpson? Very odd looking car anyway. I think that's just in case. I do wonder though if all this talk about Kremniczki being ridiculously fast will be a case of the commentator's curse and he'll throw it off later in the race. I expect he will. That is Kremniczki's style. He does crash quite a lot. That or he breaks his car, grinds his gearbox to dust, blows his engine up by just being too harsh on it. That kind of thing. It's kind of hard not to talk about Kremniczki when the director focuses on him the whole time. What else is going on down the field? I basically have the same feed you guys have, so I don't really have much else information, but we have a really big sort of mess here for 11th place. Lambrix is holding everybody up again. Greenlaw gets past Marchese though at the hairpin despite that messy... Whoa! Carlisle's gone wide, very wide in fact. Not having a good race, Josh Carlisle. He was already near the back, he's ruined it again. Oh, no, sorry, that's not Josh Carlisle. I keep forgetting he doesn't drive for those guys anymore. I think that's Kariyama. Wow. I should stop calling drivers by their names and just saying, that car does this car does that. Just in case, having a reasonable race up to P6, although I don't think he's made his first stop yet. But Nova Van Hoytsen has indeed pitted and he's down to 7th. Having a good race, the Dutchman, keeping his nose clean, not hitting anybody, not getting in the wars. Van der Made, despite being quite slow in the first half of this race, has hung on to 4th place. We'll be interested to see if Van der Hoytsen can catch up with his countryman though. Greenlaw's up to P13 after the earlier spin. Given there are 22 laps left, I think he might be able to get a point out of today despite his pretty bad error earlier on, as he takes 12th position from Lothar Lambrix. Lambrix having an absolutely shocker race. Greenlaw takes another position already. That was awfully fast. Actually no, my apologies, that's not Greenlaw, that's Andrzej Kremniczki lapping Josh Carlisle. So there you have it. Andrzej Kremniczki takes his first victim of the afternoon. Carlisle's only a lap down. I wonder how many more are going to succumb to the Slovak driver. Back with Daniel Melville, who has done a very solid shift so far. Came in for his pit stop about lap 20, I think. Sorry, no, lap 15 actually. No, I remember, it's exactly lap 15. He has timed his strategy perfectly, unlike Davis, who went far too early. Meanwhile, Kariyama tries to make a move on Jean-Vincent Labatini. That's risky though, because he's on the outside for the next corner. Oh, well, actually, that's pretty easy because Jean-Vincent Albertini has an engine failure. He is literally on fire. Just like Jason Hamilton before him, he does not think that's much of a problem and continues anyway. Although that car is not going to go much further. It will grind to a halt whether he likes it or not within the next couple of laps. We appear to be having some technical difficulties at the moment. Race direction is altering. So folks, we'll be back in just a second when race direction gets their feed working again. Still waiting at the moment. We should be back in just a few seconds' time. Well, I say just a few seconds' time, but it's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. Anyway, coverage now resumes. We were with Jean-Vincent Albertini, whose car is, well, I think you can see what's wrong with his car. He will be the third retirement of this race. I say will be because he refuses to give up at the moment. Back with Dan Melville. This is his home race, I believe. Unless my geography is very wrong and he lives close to Bathurst, but there we go. Finally, Albertini gives up, although I'm not sure he's giving up, more like the car is giving up on him. Because it seems like none of these drivers want to admit defeat when it comes to technical failures. That is a disappointing result for him though. He was doing really well. Top 5 definitely on the cars for Jean-Vincent Albertini, but his car just won't take him to the finish. In fact, he's just been overtaken by his teammate Gregor Pascal. He must have been at least 30 seconds up the road from his Swiss teammate. There goes Dan Greenlaw. He gains a position from that and a bit more likely to score a point now. There goes one of the F2RWRS cars, I think. F2RWRS so anonymous I can't even remember who drives for them anymore. Here's Jack Christopherson Jr. He's dropped all the way to 15th after his pit stop. Behind James Davis actually. Sorry, not James Davis, Jordan Davis. So he's not had a good run at all. Given he was right behind Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen, it's a surprise he's fallen so far back even. Because Van Nieuwenhuizen solidly in the top 10 at the moment despite having already made his stop, while Jack Christopherson Jr., who is only a couple of seconds behind Van Nieuwenhuizen before the pit stop cycle, is now fallen way back. Jean-Vincent Albertini is still matching his foot to the floor with the throttle pedal. He just doesn't want to give up. 10 out of 10 for commitment, I'll give him that, but 0 out of 10 for common sense. He really just doesn't know when to give up. Johannes Ruckert finally makes his first pit stop of the afternoon. Speaking of pit stops, oh okay, just in case is out. I think that looks like some kind of technical failure, suspension perhaps. In fact, yeah, I'm reasonably certain that is a suspension failure just in case. Just in case is a temporary replacement until Alberto Cara's ban is served. Got a second place last year in Indy. Quick driver, really. Even though he is not a full-time driver, he's probably one of the better drivers in the sport. It's a real shame for him he couldn't get some points for Simpson. doing infinitely better than Luke Pellerin this afternoon. Pellerin doesn't really look like he's going to get into the points-paying positions, but Case, solid top 5 runner. That's a shame for the Australian team. He was set for a good result. That will promote Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen up to 6th though, who I was just mentioning earlier, as we have another look at the race leader, who, well, surprise surprise, is way ahead of everyone and about to lap Gianluigi Bazzini, I believe. In fact, Gianluigi Bazzini, former member of the Alitalia Junior squad, released at the end of last season though and has gone to MRT, as Pellerin makes me look a bit silly by overtaking someone for position. So maybe all hope is not lost for a Simpson point this afternoon. Back with Dean Melville again. It looks like Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen is closing up on Dean Melville really quickly. Martin van der Made is still 3rd. I'm actually not sure how he's P3. Has someone stopped again? He was quite a bit slower than Dean Melville before the pit stops and after the pit stops, but he seems to have been able to hang on to P3 regardless. Not much going on in the circuit at the moment apart from this battle for 4th, where Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen seems to be closing up on Dean Melville reasonably quickly. Further down the field here is Jordan Davis, all the way down in 11th. Given he stopped on lap 5, I assume he has to stop again, even though he's not even in the top 10 at the moment. That's painful. I don't know what the Aston Martin strategists were thinking when they brought him in so early. Perhaps he had a technical problem we weren't aware of, but regardless, his race is ruined at this moment. He's not going to get on the podium. Absolutely gone. He might get a point at the end, perhaps, but he's got to watch out for Greenwald behind, who, despite his earlier antics, does seem to have the pace of Badu. Maybe not his teammate, but he's certainly as fast as agyemang-badu. We're back to the Lambrigh strain. This time Christopher Jr. is the driver who easily gets past the Belgian. No semblance of defensive driving from Lothar Lambrigh at all so far this afternoon. Doesn't seem to care if he loses position. Driven like a man who's given up. Dan Greenlaw actually made his way all the way up to 8th place before he had to make his pit stop. A little bit better than I thought he would be. Certainly some points on the cards if he can keep up this level of pace. We still have 16 laps to go, so entirely possible we could finish in the points this afternoon despite dropping back to last place earlier on. We're back now with Martin van der Made, significantly slower than the guys in front of him, almost half a minute down the battle already.
At the end of this lap.
It's been a long time coming, but finally the call comes. Andrew Krimnitsky is going to make his only stop of the afternoon at the end of this lap. I was wondering if he was going to do a no-stopper, but actually That just goes to show how amazing his pace is. He had to wait all the way until lap 37 before making that stop, despite clearly being faster than everybody else. Melville's still P3, and actually Van Nieuwenhuizen doesn't seem to be making many inroads anymore. Melville has detected the threat and adjusted adequately. We're back with Martin van der Marde again. And there we go, Krumnicki finally enters pit lane. Van der Marde, who is still in the first half of the lap, is in P3 and in the same lap. That just goes to show how far ahead Andrew Krumnicki is of everybody else. There we go, bird's eye view of Gianluigi Pazzini all the way down to 14th place. Not been a good race for the Italian. Had that incident with Gregor Pascal earlier on. Apart from that, not much of note for him. Krumnicki's out already. He didn't even lose position to Badu there. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, back with Macklin, who made that horrendous mistake earlier on, crashing straight into Jean-Vincent Albertini. Looks like he's about to take Luca Lambriggs for position, much like everybody else has so far this afternoon. Greenlaw's dropped all the way down to 16th after his pit stop. He'll be a man on a mission to get some points, and, well, I guess that's why we're focused on Gianluigi Pazzini at the moment, because he is the next victim on Daniel Greenlaw's list. I thought it would happen, it has. Jordan Davis is in for a second stop. His race is completely ruined. That'll put him out behind Greenlaw, I think. The difference is Greenlaw threw it away by putting his car off the track. Davis just threw it away by picking really bad times to make pit stops. Unless someone makes a catastrophic error, my reject of the race is probably going to go to Jordan Davis, simply because he screwed his own race. Greenlaw may have thrown it off the road, but at least he was trying and he looked sort of fast. Davis has looked completely limp this afternoon. A shadow of the driver who was really fast in pre-season testing. He can't afford too many of those if he wants to be champion first time of asking. Badu though, conversely, reigning Rejects of Elvest champion, solid run by him, not as fast as Krumnicki, not by any stretch of imagination, but he's kept his car in the island. Only made one pass all afternoon, but only needed to make one pass. Good effort from him, especially considering he had to get past the pre-qualifying hurdle. Hopefully this result will mean that his Aero Racing team won't have to go back and pre-qualify much more this season. Not much happening at the moment, so I am going to take a quick break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I don't expect you'll miss much, but that's it. Oh dear, well, I said it would happen. I said it would be commentator's curse. And of all the times for it to happen, it was now. Great. I leave for 2 minutes and Krumnicki bins it. Well, I assume he bins it. I missed it. I've been told that Kremnicki has ruined it. Well, according to my stream, he's still going in first position, so I don't know what you're talking about. Oh God. Well, I said it would happen. I said he'd be miles ahead and then Bennett, and he's done exactly that. Why has he done that? What? He's just gone too hot into turn 2 and put it in the wall. Unbelievable. Well, I was afraid it would happen all week, the whole time. I don't know how many times I said it could happen. It finally has. That's a really disappointing way to end his race. Everybody's, not just me, but I think every analyst of F2RWRS said it. If Kremnicki could just keep his car on the island at all times, he would win this championship easily. But he just keeps doing stupid mistakes like this. You know, we look back on people like Jari-Matti Latvala and WRC back in the day, back in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, and you knew he was fast, but he just kept crashing the car on almost every single occasion. Kremnicki's turning into exactly that driver. This is his third season, he should know better. But again, he's just overdriven the car when he didn't need to. That's the worst part. He's overdriving the car when he has no reason to. He had a very comfortable lead ahead of agyemang-badu. He could have lapped a second or lap slower if he really wanted to and still won. But no, he has to keep pushing at 110% and he puts it in the wall. And that's probably why this man, Marcel agyemang-badu, has a better chance of the title than Kremnicki ever will. We saw in RWRS while everybody else lost their heads, and well, in RWRS everybody really did lose their heads. Badu was one of the few people to not get a single penalty all year, one of the few people to not crash into stuff all year, and that's why he was championship, because he kept his head on. So, as much as it may pain me to say it, I don't think Kremnicki's got a chance of winning the title this year based on this performance. And I know basing an entire championship campaign in one season, not the best idea, but it's just the same thing again. It's frustrating to watch. Especially when you have a driver as fast and as talented as Kremnicki, who keeps wasting his talent by crashing when he just doesn't need to. And okay, so crashing, it's not a case of need, but these crashes happen because he pushes too hard when there's no reason. I have nothing but immense disappointment for this lad, really. So much potential wasted because he just doesn't know when to stop. That will promote Martin van der Meijden up to position 2 behind Marcel agyemang-badu, who looks good for the win now, but then again we said that Kremnicki was good for the win and look what happened to him. This is Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen, who will be up to 4th position after the Kremnicki incident, which, all credit to marshals, he got cleared up really quickly. A lot of the time we get criticism from the F2RWRS marshals for not dealing with situations quickly enough, but they really dealt with the Kremnicki situation well. No cascading incidents, as we see quite often at places like Indianapolis. This is Yuka Kariyama. She's going to have to watch out for Dan Greenlow, who is right behind her now. Bazzini meanwhile splitting the two Astons in 11th place. Well, this is unfortunate. The broadcast centre has had a complete outage. We've lost the feed, so we don't have anything else to show you. We're going to curtail the feed. Come back tomorrow, I guess, when we'll get... This is a bizarre situation to be in. Well, that appears to be it for our coverage at the moment. Come back tomorrow, I guess at 11 AM UK time, which would be midday in Central Europe. We'll see you tomorrow then.